My hands shake every morning when I pour coffee at the truck stop diner outside Louisville. Not from withdrawal anymore. I've been sober 187 days. They shake because I know exactly what I threw away. And there's no 12-step program for fixing the kind of destruction I caused. My name is Macy. I'm 30 years old, and 10 months ago I lost the only man who ever truly loved me because I chose bourbon and bar friends over building a life together. The irony isn't lost on me that I'm serving coffee to truckers at 4 in the morning, when I used to mock Douglas for getting up at 5:30 for his electrician apprenticeship. "Why can't you get a normal job?" I'd complain, still drunk from the night before while he kissed my forehead and left for another 10-hour day. Now I understand. Now, when it's too late, I understand everything. We met 8 years ago at a concert in Nashville. I was 22, fresh out of UK with a communications degree I had no intention of using. He was 24, traveling the Southeast, following jam bands, working odd jobs to fund his wanderlust. I noticed him first, tall and lanky with sun-bleached hair and this easy smile that made you feel like you were the only person in the world when he looked at you. My friends and I had driven down from Louisville for the weekend, planning to party hard and maybe hook up with some cute guys. Douglas was with a group of regulars who followed the same band circuit. We started talking during set break, something about the bass player's weird facial expressions, and suddenly 3 hours had passed. My friends left with some guys they'd met. I stayed talking to Douglas until security kicked us out of the venue at 2 in the morning. "I'll be in Louisville next month," he said, programming my number into his flip phone. This was 2016 and he still had a flip phone. "There's a show at Mercury Ballroom." "Maybe I'll see you there," I said, trying to play it cool while my heart hammered against my ribs. He showed up, just like he said he would. Drove 6 hours from Asheville, where he was working construction. We spent the whole weekend together. The concert, late-night diners, walking around Cherokee Park at dawn because neither of us wanted to say goodbye. When he left that Sunday, I felt like someone had hollowed out my chest. For 4 months we did the long-distance thing. He'd fly to see me using buddy passes from a friend who worked for Southwest. I'd drive to wherever he was playing a show, Atlanta, Charlotte, Birmingham. The sex was incredible, but it was more than that. Douglas listened when I talked. He remembered things, how I took my coffee, that I was allergic to shellfish, that my dad left when I was 12 and I still had dreams about him coming back. "Move here," I begged one night, lying in his motel room in Chattanooga. "Louisville's great. You'd love it." "What about you moving to where I am?" he asked, running his fingers through my hair. But I couldn't leave. My whole life was in Louisville. My mom, my sister, my friends from high school and college. The idea of starting over somewhere new terrified me, so Douglas did what I was too scared to do. He packed his life into his beat-up Honda Civic and moved to Kentucky for me. My mom loved him immediately. "This one's different," she told me after their first meeting. "He looks at you like you're precious." We found a cheap apartment in Germantown, close enough to downtown but still affordable on his construction wages, and my waitressing tips. Those first 2 years were perfect. We'd cook dinner together, singing along to his playlist of obscure folk bands. Weekend mornings in bed until noon, road trips to Red River Gorge for hiking and camping. I taught him about bourbon, the good stuff, small batch, not the rot gut I'd later poison myself with. He taught me about being present, not always needing to document everything for social media. "Let's just be here," he'd say when I reached for my phone to Instagram our picnic or sunset or whatever moment we were sharing. "Just us." The problem started when he decided to join the electrical union. 5-year apprenticeship, he explained, but after that we'd be set. Good money, benefits, pension. He could support a family. Family? I remember laughing nervously. "I'm only 25, let's not get ahead of ourselves." But Douglas wasn't getting ahead of himself. He was planning our future while I was still trying to live like a college kid. The apprenticeship meant early mornings, long days, studying at night. Suddenly, he couldn't come to Tuesday trivia, or Thursday karaoke, or Sunday fun day at the bars. He was too tired, too busy, too focused on building something real. "Come with me," I'd beg, already 3 drinks in at 4 on a Saturday afternoon. Just for a couple hours. Macy, I've got a test Monday. I need to study. God, you're turning into such an old man. He'd look at me with these sad eyes, like he could see where we were heading before I could. But I was blind, or maybe I was just too selfish to care. When COVID hit, I thought it would bring us closer together. We were both home, nowhere to go. But Douglas used the time to get ahead in his apprenticeship, taking online classes, studying for his journeyman exam. I collected unemployment and stimulus checks, and discovered that you could have groceries and alcohol delivered directly to your door. My restaurant job evaporated overnight. Instead of looking for new work, I told myself I deserved a break. I'd been working since I was 16. Didn't I deserve some time to figure out what I really wanted? What I really wanted, apparently, was to day drink while Douglas worked on job sites they deemed essential. That's when Brittany and Jade came back into my life. Friends from college who I'd lost touch with when I got serious with Douglas. They were both unemployed too, single, bitter about it. They started a book club that met twice a week but never actually read anything. "Girl, you need to live a little," Brittany said, pouring wine at 2 on a Wednesday. "When's the last time Douglas took you somewhere nice?" "We're saving money," I explained. "For a house." "For a house he wants," Jade corrected. "What about what you want?" What did I want? The question rattled around my bourbon-soaked brain. I wanted to feel 25, not like someone's future wife and mother. I wanted excitement, spontaneity, passion. I wanted Douglas to look at me the way he used to, before he got so serious about everything. So I started going out without him. Just drinks with the girls, I'd say. Be home by 10. 10 became midnight, became stumbling in at 3, shushing myself badly as I tripped over his work boots. Douglas would pretend to be asleep, but I could feel the disappointment radiating off him. The brewery job came through Jade's cousin. "Easy work," she said, "and you get shift drinks." The staff was young, fun, nothing like the uptight corporate restaurants I'd worked before. My manager, Trevor, was 32 and looked like he fronted an indie band. Sleeve tattoos, gauges, this lazy smile that made you feel like you were in on some secret joke. "You're way too cool to be with some construction worker," he told me one night after close, splitting a joint in the alley behind the brewery. "He's an electrician, almost." I took a hit, held it too long, coughed until my eyes watered. "And he's not just some anything. We've been together 6 years. 6 years, Trevor laughed. "Damn, you're like an old married couple. When's the last time he surprised you? Took you on an adventure?" Douglas used to surprise me all the time. Flowers from the gas station, my favorite candy when I had a bad day. Mixed CDs, actual CDs, of songs that reminded him of me. But when I tried to remember the last time, all I could think about was him studying at the kitchen table, highlighting his code book while I pre-gamed for another night out. The drinking got worse. What started as shift drinks became shots before work to steady my nerves. Flask in my purse for bathroom breaks. Brittany and Jade enabled it, celebrated it even. We were young, fun, living our best lives, not like those boring couples posting about date nights at Olive Garden. Douglas tried to talk to me about it gently at first. "Maybe we could have a sober October," he suggested. "Reset a little." "Maybe you could stop trying to control me," I snapped, hungover and mean. The fight that really started our ending happened on a Thursday. Book club night. I was supposed to be home by 10. Douglas had an exam the next morning and asked me to keep it quiet. By midnight, I was wasted. Jade was going through another breakup, which always meant shots. Lots of shots. Brittany had met some guy on Tinder who was ghosting her more shots. "Let's go to Rick's," someone suggested. Rick was another brewery employee who lived in a party house in the Highlands. Always people there. Always something happening. I should have gone home. Instead, I texted Douglas. "Girls need me. Be home late." He texted back, "Please be safe. I love you." I turned off my phone. Rick's house was exactly what you'd expect. Dirty dishes everywhere, mattress on the floor, Bob Marley posters and Christmas lights. The kind of place that seems fun when you're 22 and depressing when you're pushing 30. But I was drunk enough not to care, drunk enough to think this was freedom. Trevor was there, holding court in the kitchen, making everyone do lemon drop shots. When he saw me, his face lit up. "Macy, get over here!" The next part is fuzzy. More shots. Someone's Adderall crushed up on a scratched frisbee. Dancing to terrible EDM. Trevor's hands on my waist, the room spinning. I remember thinking I should leave, remembering Douglas at home, studying. Then Trevor was kissing me and I was letting him, tasting cigarettes and cheap whiskey. I pushed him away, stumbled to the bathroom, threw up until nothing came up but yellow bile. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize the wreck staring back, smeared makeup, pupils blown wide, looking exactly like what I was. A mess who was throwing her life away for nothing. The drive home was stupid, reckless, unforgivable. I hit a curb so hard I thought I'd broken the axle. Pulled over, called Douglas, sobbing. "Where are you?" His voice was calm, controlled, but I could hear the exhaustion underneath. "I don't know, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." He found me on the side of River Road, passed out in the driver's seat. Drove me home in silence while I cried and apologized, and promised to change. The next morning, he was gone when I woke up. Failed his exam because he spent the night dealing with me instead of sleeping. Didn't say a word about it, just studied harder for the retake. That should have been my wake-up call. Instead, I blamed him. If he wasn't so boring, I wouldn't need to go out. If he paid more attention to me, I wouldn't be looking for it elsewhere. Classic addict logic. Everyone's fault but mine. 2 weeks later, I did it again. Brittany's birthday. Promised I'd have one drink and be home early. Woke up at Jade's apartment at noon the next day with no memory of how I got there. 17 missed calls from Douglas. When I finally made it home, he was sitting on the couch, still in yesterday's clothes. "I drove around all night looking for you," he said quietly. "Called every hospital, every police station." "I'm sorry." The words were automatic, meaningless. "Your car's not outside." My stomach dropped. I had no idea where my car was. Later, we found it abandoned in a Kroger parking lot. Front bumper smashed, tire shredded. I'd driven on the rim for who knows how long before giving up. "You could have killed someone," Douglas said. And for the first time in 6 years, I heard anger in his voice. Real anger, not frustration or disappointment. "You could have killed yourself." "I know." "Do you? Because I don't think you do. I think you care more about impressing your trashy friends than you care about us, about our future, about anything real." "They're not trashy," I screamed, deflecting because I knew he was right. "Just because they know how to have fun." "Fun?" He stood up, pacing. "Macy, you're 30 years old. You're not in college anymore. This isn't fun, it's pathetic." "If I'm so pathetic, why are you with me?" He stopped pacing, looked at me for a long moment. "I don't know anymore." The silence stretched between us like a chasm. 6 years together, and he didn't know why he was with me. Because I'd given him nothing but reasons to leave. "I'll quit drinking," I said desperately. "I'll get help." "You said that last time, and the time before. This time I mean it." But I didn't. I meant it in that moment, maybe, but by the next day I was making excuses. Just beer, just wine with dinner, just one shot because Jade was having a crisis. The thing about functional alcoholics is we're exceptionally good at lying to ourselves. The end came on a Wednesday. I told Douglas I was grabbing drinks with a coworker after our shift. Just one, home by 8. He was making dinner, this elaborate pasta dish he'd learned from YouTube because he knew I loved Italian food. "Try to make it home," he said, stirring the sauce. "I want to eat together for once." "I'll be there." But Trevor had other plans. His band was playing at a dive bar in Butchertown. "Just come for the first set," he begged. "Bring your friends." I texted Brittany and Jade. Texted Douglas that I'd be a little late. Turned off my phone when he responded asking how late was a little. The bar was everything Douglas hated. Loud, dirty, full of people trying too hard to seem interesting. Trevor's band was terrible, but I screamed and cheered like they were the Beatles. He bought me drinks between sets, introduced me as his special friend, kept finding excuses to touch me. "Where's the boyfriend tonight?" he asked during a break, sitting too close on a sticky vinyl bench. "Home." The word felt heavy in my mouth. His loss. Trevor's hand was on my thigh. "You're too alive for someone like that." Alive? Is that what this was? Because lately I felt like I was drowning, like every drink pulled me deeper underwater. But Trevor was leaning in, and Brittany was taking pictures, and Jade was cheering, and it was easier to pretend this was living than admit it was dying. I got home at 3 in the morning. Douglas was asleep on the couch, dinner cold on the stove. He'd set the table, candles, cloth napkins, the works. There was a note next to my plate. "I'm done waiting. We need to talk in the morning." But I couldn't face that conversation. So I did what cowards do. I ran, packed a bag while he slept, left my own note. Staying with Jade for a few days needs space to think. The space turned into a week. Every time Douglas called, I sent him to voicemail. When he texted asking if I was okay, I responded with one-word answers. I was giving him the silent treatment like a child, punishing him for the crime of caring about me. "Girl, you need to make a decision," Brittany said on day 5, passing me a joint while we day drank at Jade's apartment. "Either dump him or don't, but this limbo thing is cruel." She was right. It was cruel. Douglas deserved better than my cowardice. So I went home on a Tuesday afternoon, knowing he'd be at work, planning to pack more clothes and figure out what to say. Instead, I found him there, taking a rare sick day. He was sitting at the kitchen table with 2 cups of coffee, like he'd been waiting. "Hi," I said, frozen in the doorway. "Sit." It wasn't a request. I sat. The coffee was perfect. Oat milk, 1 sugar, exactly how I liked it. Even now, even after everything, he still knew me. "I've been thinking," he started, then stopped, rubbing his face with both hands. "Macy, who are you?" "What?" "It's not a trick question. Who are you? Because the woman I fell in love with wouldn't disappear for a week. She wouldn't drive drunk. She wouldn't choose strangers at a bar over the person she's building a life with." "People change," I said defensively. "Yeah, they do. Usually for the better. You're going backwards." "Maybe this is who I really am. Maybe you fell in love with someone I was pretending to be." He considered that, sipped his coffee. "Maybe. Or maybe you're scared." "Of what?" "Growing up. Committing to something. Being happy." He laughed, but it was bitter. "God knows why being happy terrifies you so much." "I am happy." "Are you?" "Because from where I'm sitting, you seem miserable. You're drunk more than you're sober. Your friends are toxic. You hate your job but won't look for another one. You're sabotaging us for no reason except that it's easier than trying." Every word hit like a physical blow because every word was true. But admitting that would mean admitting I'd wasted years of both our lives, that I'd become exactly the kind of person I used to mock. "If you're so unhappy with me, just break up with me," I said, falling back on manipulation because it was easier than honesty. Douglas set down his coffee cup, looked me straight in the eye. "Okay?" The word hung in the air between us. I'd expected him to fight, to beg, to tell me he loved me too much to leave. Instead, he said okay like he was agreeing to pizza for dinner instead of ending 6 years. "Wait, what?" "You're right, I should have done this months ago." He stood up, eerily calm. "I've been holding on to who you used to be, or who I thought you were, but this person? I don't know this person. And frankly, I don't like her." "Douglas, I didn't mean—" "I'll stay with my foreman until I find a place. You can have the apartment. I know your mom's on the lease, too. I'll get my stuff this weekend." He was already walking away. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. He was supposed to fight for me, prove how much I meant to him. Instead, he was leaving like it was nothing, like 6 years meant nothing. "So that's it?" I screamed at his back. "You're just giving up?" He turned around, and for the first time I saw how tired he looked. Not just physically tired, soul tired, worn down by months of my bullshit. "I'm not giving up, Macy. You gave up a long time ago. I'm just finally accepting it." He left that night with a duffel bag and his work clothes. Didn't take anything else. Didn't argue about belongings or money or any of the petty things people fight about when relationships end. He just left, and the apartment felt immediately empty, like he'd taken all the warmth with him. I called in sick to work and spent 3 days drinking everything in the house. Brittany and Jade came over to support me, which meant talking shit about Douglas while we killed bottles of wine. "He was holding you back anyway," Brittany insisted. "Now you're free." "Free to do what?" I asked. But they were already planning our next girls' night, our next adventure, our next mistake. Douglas came for his things that Saturday. I made sure to be gone. Couldn't bear to watch him pack up 6 years of memories. When I got back, all traces of him were erased. His books, his records, the stupid motivational calendar he kept by his desk. Even the smell of him was already fading. I threw myself into the party lifestyle with vengeance. If Douglas thought I was pathetic, I'd show him pathetic. Every night out, every bad decision, every strange bed I woke up in was a middle finger to his judgment. See, this is what I wanted. This is who I am. Trevor and I started hooking up regularly. Not dating, he made that clear. We were having fun, which meant he got laid and I got to feel wanted for a few hours. He'd ignore me at work, then text at 2 in the morning. I'd go every time, hating myself a little more each morning after. The restaurant industry is small in Louisville. Word got around that I was single, that I was fun, that I was easy. Guys who wouldn't have looked twice at me when I was with Douglas suddenly appeared in my DMs. I felt popular, desired, free. I felt nothing at all. 3 months after the breakup, I ran into Douglas's foreman at Kroger. He was polite but distant, clearly uncomfortable. "How's Douglas?" I asked, trying to sound casual while my heart hammered. "Good, real good. Just passed his journeyman exam. Kid's got a bright future." "That's great." And I meant it. Despite everything, I was proud of him. "Tell him I said congratulations." The foreman shifted uncomfortably. "I'll do that. You take care now." But I wasn't taking care. I was spiraling. Lost my brewery job for showing up drunk once too often. Brittany got a DUI and suddenly couldn't party anymore. Jade met some guy and disappeared into relationship bliss. Trevor ghosted me the moment he hooked up with a 22-year-old server. My mom tried to intervene. "Honey, what happened to you? You had such a good thing with Douglas." "He was boring, Mom. We wanted different things." "Seems like he wanted a future and you wanted to throw yours away." Even my own mother was taking his side, but she was paying half my rent, so I bit my tongue and promised to get my act together. Rock bottom came on a Thursday. Day drinking alone in my apartment, scrolling through Instagram like an idiot. Douglas's account was private now, but his new girlfriend's wasn't. Her name was Melissa, and she was everything I wasn't. Pretty in that natural, outdoorsy way. Nurse at Norton Hospital. Posted pictures of wholesome dates, hiking, farmers markets, cooking dinner together. There was one photo that broke me. Douglas at some work event, dressed in a suit I'd never seen him wear, accepting an award for completing his apprenticeship early, Melissa beside him, beaming with pride, caption reading, "So proud of this hard-working man." That should have been me. I should have been the one celebrating his achievements, supporting his dreams. Instead, I was day drunk and unemployed, cyber-stalking a life I'd thrown away. I called him, first time in 4 months. He answered on the 3rd ring, cautious. "Macy?" "Congratulations." My voice was thick with tears and vodka. "On the apprenticeship, your foreman told me." "Thanks." Pause. "Are you okay? You sound drunk?" "Yeah, well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right?" I laughed, ugly and bitter. I saw the pictures. She seems nice. Melissa? Macy? No, it's fine. I'm happy for you. You deserve someone who appreciates you. Are you safe? Do you need me to call someone? Even now, even drunk dialing his new life, he was worried about me. It made everything worse. I'm fine. I'm always fine. Fun Macy, party Macy, doesn't need anyone Macy. That's not true, and you know it. Isn't it? Look how well I'm doing on my own. I was full-on crying now. Ugly sobs. I fucked it all up, didn't I? We had something good and I fucked it up. Yeah, he said quietly. You did. The honesty was brutal. No comfort, no lies, just truth. I'm sorry, I whispered. For all of it. I'm so fucking sorry. I know. His voice was gentle now. But sorry doesn't change anything. Take care of yourself, Macy. Really take care of yourself. He hung up, and I knew that was the last time we'd ever talk. The finality of it sent me to the bathroom, throwing up vodka and regret and 6 years of mistakes. That was 6 months ago. I'd like to say I got sober immediately, saw the light, fixed my life. But it took another month of blackouts and bad decisions before I finally admitted I needed help. Not for Douglas, not to win him back, but because I was going to die if I kept going. My mom paid for rehab. 30 days at a facility in Lexington, away from all my triggers and enablers. It was hell. Detoxing, group therapy, confronting every ugly truth I'd been drowning in alcohol. Brittany visited once, spent the whole time complaining about how boring sobriety must be. I never called her again. Now I work overnight shifts at a truck stop on I-65. It's honest work. Harder than anything I did at the brewery. My feet hurt and my back aches, and I smell like coffee and grease. But I'm sober, 187 days sober. I see updates about Douglas through mutual friends. He and Melissa are moving in together. He's working as a full electrician now, making good money. They adopted a dog, some rescue mutt that goes on all their hiking adventures. The life we talked about, he's living it with someone else. Last week, I was restocking the coffee station when a familiar Honda Civic pulled up to the pumps. My heart stopped. Douglas climbed out, not seeing me through the windows. He looked good, healthy, happy, whole. Melissa was in the passenger seat, laughing at something on her phone. I watched him pump gas, remembering 1,000 road trips in that car. How he'd always let me pick the music, even though he hated my top 40 choices. How he'd hold my hand over the gear shift. How safe I felt next to him, before I decided safety was boring. He went to pay, and our eyes met through the glass door. For a second, neither of us moved. Then he gave me a small nod, acknowledgement, nothing more, and went inside to pay at the other register. When he left, Melissa waved at me, not knowing who I was. Just being friendly to the tired-looking woman at the truck stop. That's my life now. Watching the man I loved be happy with someone who deserves him. Working shit jobs because my resume is a disaster. Living in a studio apartment that smells like my neighbor's cooking, going to AA meetings where I'm the youngest person by a decade. My name is Macy, I say every Tuesday and Friday, and I'm an alcoholic. They applaud like it's an achievement, but it's just the truth. I'm an alcoholic who destroyed her relationship for fireball shots and meaningless validation, who chose toxic friends over a loving partner, who had everything and burned it down because growing up seemed scarier than growing old. Douglas was right. I was going backwards. Now I'm trying to go forward. But some mistakes you don't come back from. Some people you don't get second chances with. Some lives you ruin so thoroughly that all you can do is serve coffee to truckers and hope that someday, maybe, you'll forgive yourself for becoming the exact person you swore you'd never be. But probably not. Probably I'll spend the rest of my life knowing I had real love and traded it for nothing. Knowing Douglas wakes up every morning next to someone who values him while I wake up alone, counting days of sobriety like they're prison sentences. 6 months since I destroyed everything. 6 years of love for 6 months of selfishness. The math is simple and brutal. This is my life now. The one I chose when I decided being drunk mattered more than being loved. When I decided toxic friends were more important than a true partner. Douglas and Melissa will probably get married, have kids, build the life he tried to build with me. I'll see the announcement on social media, maybe run into them around town. Have to smile and pretend it doesn't gut me every time. That's my penance. Watching the future, I threw away bloom in someone else's garden. I pour another cup of coffee for a trucker headed to Chicago. He thanks me, calls me sweetheart, leaves a $2 tip. In 4 hours, my shift ends and I'll go home to my empty apartment, eat breakfast alone, go to bed as the rest of Louisville starts their day. Tomorrow I'll do it again, and again, and again. This is what I wanted, right? To be free, to be fun, to be young forever. Turns out forever is a long time when you're living it alone, when the party's over and everyone else has gone home to people who love them. When you're 30 years old and starting over from less than nothing, knowing you had everything and chose to let it go. Douglas was building a future. I was building a hangover. Now he has the future and I have regret, and honestly, that's exactly what we both deserve.